Yeah, we're live. Hi, guys. This is Om from Tezos Foundation India. So, Om, please take your stage is yours.
Sure. Uh, Hi everyone. First, I would like to thank you and the fellow team for having me. I've been seeing the sessions since the morning. Some of the sessions, some of the sessions have been great. So I'll be sharing about the transformation of crypto from 2008 to 2020 till now, and how the crypto has transformed. And from crypto, there can be many views about crypto markets or cryptocurrency or blockchain technology. So I'm going to share my perspective on this subject, and I'm going to share how we evolved into an age of cryptocurrency to cryptocurrencies. So I'm just going to share my screen right now with you guys. Okay. All right. I hope you guys can see the screen. So the transformation in the crypto from 2008 to 2020. It's a really interesting point. If we look at the overview, if we look back at the history, we have come really far, and if we look at the future, we are supposed to go really far. This entire this crypto industry or the word cryptocurrency itself came with the launch of Bitcoin in 2008. And this entire phenomenon, philosophy, and the wave of innovation, it all started in 2008 with the Bitcoin. And throughout this entire journey, many events have occurred, many setbacks happened, but innovation never stopped. And there are many ways to see this transformation. I was also wondering how to represent this transformation. So I chose the best way, the way that I see it, from cryptocurrency to cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin was Hypergrowth Bitcoin was introduced in 2008, and it brought an entire wave of innovation and coming financial system and technology. Bitcoin was envisioned as a peer-to-peer electronic cash system without any central authority, and this was also happening. The Bitcoin also came into existence after the economic crisis in 2008. So it has both kind of factors. It also has technological factor. It also had the economical factor, and it also had a set of values, a set of attributes that put the value in this network, that put the value in this protocol. It was also the first successful implementation of the blockchain technology, and it has many amazing attributes which made it as an economical protocol as well, such as limited supply, Bitcoin halving, which is we're going to see in next 2 to 3 days, and many other systems. This currency, Bitcoin, Bitcoins are minted by a process called mining, which is a very heavy computation process and consumes good amount of energy. Mining uses a concept called proof of work, where it depends upon quantity of work done by your machine or by your computer or by your farm to be able to mine Bitcoin. And we can see how it has evolved since 2008 to 2020 in a way that earlier in the days it used to take only a laptop or a basic computer to mine Bitcoins. And now we have mining farms. We have huge mining farms, mining pools. And it is an entire different industry which generates a lot of jobs, which generates a lot of capital for many startups. So we see how this industry is growing. The electricity consumption also by Bitcoin network is almost as much as an entire country, such as Switzerland. So we have seen this entire network growing. We have seen difficulty increasing. We are seeing mining on laptop to mining on farms. And also throughout this journey, many events have happened. One of the event was Bitcoin pizza event, where somebody bought two pizzas for 20,000 Bitcoin. And that was a very interesting movement because that time somebody exchanged a pizza for value, for some value, and that put some value in Bitcoin. That means Bitcoin became an exchange of value in a way. And since then, Bitcoin has been unstoppable. Many major events have happened since then. Like then Bitcoin came, then some alternate currencies, but only currencies such as Litecoin and Monero, other currencies came, other protocol, and all these currencies has different set of attributes. And then also the concept of exchange came, where you could trade these currencies initially, or I guess only 3 to 4 currencies or 2 to 3 currencies, and then the exchange Mt. Gox that got hacked, Silicon Root happened, Bitcoin touched new all-time highs. It also touched many times bottoms, and also the innovation can even regardless of all the new highs, new lows, innovation was always happening, and many things were going on in the Bitcoin ecosystem. One of the major event. So just pay attention to this. In next slides we are gonna loop all of these things together. So one of the major event that happened in Bitcoin was Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. It was a fork in the Bitcoin network. There was a debate in the Bitcoin because the network was evolved really into a really big network. The Bitcoin network has become really big, and there was this entire scalability debate because theoretically it should take only 10 minutes to mine Bitcoin and to get your transaction done, but it usually takes hours before your transaction get done. And there was entire debate about scalability, where one smaller part of the community was agree with something else, or they wanted to do something else, and other part was wanting to do something else, and that resulted into a fork of the Bitcoin network, where the majority, the bigger part was the main Bitcoin, and the smaller part was later called Bitcoin Cash. But the bad part about fork is it doesn't only fork your network; it also forks your community. So the community has to, the community got also forked. So now there were a different set of people who had before the fork put their trust into the Bitcoin, but now they were trusting a different mechanism. Very interesting event. So we see Bitcoin evolve. It evolved through many phases. It got its value from events such as Bitcoin pizza buying. It got listed, or there was the concept of exchanges came out, and it got listed there. And many of some of the events, like when WikiLeaks started accepting Bitcoins, many these major and minor events happened which put value in the Bitcoin. And then eventually also during the same time, an entire new class of asset, Bitcoin was transformed into a new class of asset. As in white paper, it was supposed to be electronic peer-to-peer cash payment system, and now it is becoming more of a store of value, and that is because of all the events that happen. Okay, so the Bitcoin was happening, and meanwhile, Bitcoin was growing, Bitcoin was happening, many events were happening. Meanwhile, also the innovation was happening. There was this person, Vitalik Buterin, who had been working on Ethereum. So Ethereum became more of an extension to the Bitcoin. Bitcoin was only a value transfer protocol where you could only transfer value. I mean, with Bitcoin being the native currency, you could send Bitcoin across one person to another person. And Ethereum brought the concept of smart contracts. So smart contracts are basically the contract which are coded on computer, and they have certain events. And when the certain event takes place, when the conditions are met, that the smart contract executes automatically. So just a quick definition. And this concept of smart contract enable the new variety of applications, which are called decentralized application. The interesting point here to see is that how the how the new cryptocurrencies were emerging. So Bitcoin was for value transfer. Then Ethereum came, and Ethereum's native token was Ether, and that put the value in Ethereum currency and its network for writing smart contracts and deploying smart contracts and building decentralized application. And it became more of a world computer, where you could host your decentralized application. And as similar as you host your application on cloud, you pay some fees. Similarly, when you are hosting your application on Ethereum, you need to pay in its native token Ether. So now there was this another currency, which could be also see as a native cryptocurrency. There were also many cryptocurrencies coming simultaneously, but we are just talking about the main things that happened. Another thing that then happened in Ethereum, Bitcoin also previously faced a fork, and then Ethereum enabled this entire new set of applications, decentralized applications, where you could write smart contracts, and it enabled a digital version of IPO, which is called ICO, Initial Coin Offering, which were borderless and anyone could participate in it. Unfortunately, soon after Ethereum launch, the infamous DAO hack happened, and some hackers stole $50 million worth Ether. And also at the same time, to prevent this loss, they had to fork the chain, and then we saw two chains, Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. So again, interesting turn of event here. The hack happened and the fork happened, and though this was before the Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash fork, but we see that what kind of problems we were seeing, what kind of setbacks we were seeing, as we were also growing, and sometimes there were also setbacks. Then the Ethereum Classic fork happened, but then again some good projects came and they started they started this new concept of decentralized application and secure decentralized applications, and they raised money through ICO, which is more like a crowdfunding campaign on the Ethereum blockchain. And these ICOs raised a good amount of money. And then we saw this entire ICO wave coming up in 2017 and 2018, where we saw ICOs as big as Filecoin and Tezos, which raised more than $200 million during that time. Also, Bitcoin touched its all-time high, $20,000 during this same time, where we can call, some people call it as bull run, some people call it golden time of crypto, and that's how that happened. Following that, during the same time, that ICO thing has became so huge that we also got to see projects like this 100% on this Ethereum ICO, and the name of the project is Useless Ethereum Token, and the advice is don't buy this token, but still people were buying this. So many terms out there to call such projects out there, but I'm not usually prefer any of these. But we see one side there was some good projects, like initially there were some good projects, or meanwhile there were also some good projects, but majority of the project also saw it just an easy way to raise funds and then not being responsible to the investors, which are users who were investing with the money. Then what was followed was a crypto winter, where we see many of these projects vanishing out. And I also personally met projects, many projects which has raised $25 million and they don't have any even $500,000 as of now. So again, this entire turn of event happened, the 2017 ICO hype. But on the technological side, what we were seeing was that during the same time there was this game introduced on the Ethereum, CryptoKitties, and Bitcoin was already facing scalability issue and the huge amount of electricity consumption. Ethereum also got hauled when this game was launched, and it also started uh, feeling the scalability issues and the electricity consumption as well. So also during that time, there was a lot of discussion going on around the new kind of consensus algorithm, like proof of stake, and many discussions were going around that time. And during this 2007 ICO wave, a project came EOS, which did a Dutch auction style ICO and raised $5 billion according to that market value, which was a huge amount of money. And what this project enabled was that it said the project said that we were going to introduce proof of stake into our ecosystem, and the proof of stake, and then we are going to also introduce a kind of constitution about how to govern, and so that, and people saw this as a future innovation, or how the future of public blockchains will look like. It raised a lot of money, but many problems were followed and felt by this project, as later seen and discussed multiple times. with the proof of stake networks and proof of stake projects, that these projects tend to be very centralized. Like Neo had only 7 nodes and EOS had only 21 nodes. So there were again the problem of centralization. We started with Bitcoin and Ethereum as a heavy decentralized network, and just to prevent some fallbacks, we were moving towards centralized networks. Then during the same time, some there were many multiple projects that raised the money, and some got introduced earlier, some got introduced later, and then later came Tezos. And Tezos, when Tezos came, if we now look back at all the problems we saw in all of these projects and during the timeline of all this event, we can relate here that what kind of project this project wanted to solve. Just like we saw the governance problem and governance is still a huge problem in many blockchains. In Bitcoin, we saw the governance problem due to which the fork happened. In Ethereum, we saw the governance problem, and many times we see that as well with now, and due to which fork happened. And security, that is also one of the problems that we saw in Ethereum as in the smart contract security, where the DAO fork happened. And then the proof of stake, the the scalability issue that we saw in Bitcoin Ethereum, and where the need of moving to proof of stake was also emerged. So then Tezos emerged to replace the EOS because it was more decentralized. It didn't put any barriers, or didn't put any walls up in front of in order to become the decentralized. It is also one of the most decentralized proof of stake network right now. And now it is also becoming as a competitor to the other blockchains. So this is how the on-chain governance look like, because the governance part matters a lot, because the blockchain projects such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tezos, and many others are community-centric and community-focused projects. There is no central authority. So the views of community, the views of developers, and it needs to be addressed in the most effective manner. And the we call these type of projects blockchain 3.0. I read that term somewhere, such as which is blockchain governance in it, where what happens is it is more like a parliament where somebody will propose an update or an upgrade, and then all of the people will vote on that upgrade. And you can see in the screen right now, according to you can see the participation, you can see the votes cast, and if the majority of the people say yes, then the proposal is passed. And it takes its own fair amount of time about discussions and everything. So if you look too deep into it, you will get to know how does it prevent the need to fork. But the innovation was not happening on this project side. Bitcoin was facing some issues. Ethereum was facing some issues. Meanwhile, the projects such as EOS, Tezos were also coming out. And Bitcoin tried to address this issue of scalability with Lightning Network. And on Ethereum, there were many projects came forward which wanted to address issues such as Matic, Loom Network, projects like that. So both of the chain, Ethereum and Bitcoin, were already decentralized, and they just needed a boost to scale further for greater adoption, and more projects were emerging. Meanwhile, while all of this were happening, there was this new industry that was growing rapidly in the blockchain ecosystem, which is DeFi and open finance, decentralized finance and open finance. And we saw this year a value worth $1 billion locked in the smart contracts, which is a huge amount of value. And the innovation on this space has been significant. The DeFi space has grown around 300% within a year. Significant growth. So the DeFi was happening. Then with this entire huge wave of innovation, there were also some projects who were proposing interoperability, because there were many projects existing at the same time. And though these projects came up with the idea of inter-blockchain communication, interoperability. So we see all of these new things were happening, and this all these projects were happening sometimes in the same timeline and sometimes in a different timeline. But as we see many setbacks, we saw market fall down, Bitcoin price crashed down, X happened, but innovation never stopped. So right now, we can see that staking has been what has been really big that we can talk about here is staking. It's like staking has become really big. The proof of stake networks, $1 million worth of has already been staked on Tezos. DeFi is becoming as a really big industry. $1 billion worth is already locked on DeFi. Bitcoin is as of now network worth $180 billion. And in 2019, $2.8 billion VC funding was pushed in the cryptocurrency and blockchain ecosystem, which shows uh, that how that how much interested are the VCs and how the new capital markets and new industries are being generated. And then we also are seeing institutional adoption wave, where we are seeing regulated exchanges, we are seeing STOs, many other things. But still, many questions remain in this entire ecosystem. Apart from trading and exchanges and market value, what I see that the trading and the value in the cryptocurrencies are a byproduct of good technology, a byproduct of adoption. And adoption only happens when there is a value in the network, there is a value in the smart contracts. And when it's easy for the users to get through these things. So many things still remain, and we are still very early in this stage, such as mode of effective governance. Is the on-chain governance the new governance model or the off-chain governance? Is scalability more required or the usability? Because if we are putting billions of dollars, millions of dollars on smart contract, maybe we can wait for a minute or two. And then due to all hacks and the bugs in the DeFi, is DeFi mature enough as of now? It has only been 2 years. Security of smart contracts has also been an issue. We see hacks multiple times. And another question will be, is there going to be one chain to rule them all, or all of these chains are going to coexist and there's going to be interoperability, some sort of that? So this was one of the timeline that I just presented you in front of you guys, that how the cryptocurrency, how the ecosystem has evolved from one cryptocurrency to all the different kind of cryptocurrencies because of the need of new innovation, because of the issues this network faced, and we are only getting started, and we'll see. I mean, I have my personal beliefs on where we are gonna see the things happening, but still, I'm seeing this is the most exciting time to being in this ecosystem, and things are the innovation that we are happening is on a very great scale, and we can only hope for the best. I think I'll conclude my presentation right now. Taking some
Thank you. Thanks,
right.
Om. Thanks a lot. So there's just one question coming in. Uh, how is Tezos India helping Indian blockchain startups? Are they collaborating with them, and how are they assisting them, and if they are in any way?
Yeah. So the Teos India Foundation collaborate with the startups. They provide all the help, support, and resources needed to build your project on Tezos. We provide you connections to the VCs. We provide you connections to our other partners. If your project has some really good potential, we provide you we provide you some connection for venture or vehicles as well. And we also, if you can build something for the developer community, or if you build something open source which can everybody benefit from, then we also provide you a window to grant, and the grant ranges from grant could be up to $50,000 or something like that. So Theos India Foundation was created basically to promote and support the Theos ecosystem growth in India. And Theos, as we have seen, is a very emerging project and emerging blockchain in the cryptocurrency space. And we are here to help any individual, any company, any startup, any corporation to cater their Theos needs, or help them personally or individually to build their projects on top of Theos.
Yeah. All right, man. Thanks. Thank you so much, Om. I think this is the time we have. Thank you, everyone, for
Okay.
listening, and thank you, Om, for taking out the time. Yeah.
Thanks
All right.
for.
I'll see you backstage. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. Thanks.